Oh, you probably, you don't want to just work and you want to enjoy it. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Well, trying to figure out why a 17-year-old. Questions while they leave.
Are in the.
You guys ready? Yes, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you? How are we doing today?
Doing well.
Mr. Steele, I'm John Kirtley. I'm the director of the Board of Pharmacy, and I'm going to tell you real quick, the people you're facing today, on this side of the table, we're staff members here at the Board of Pharmacy. Myself, Dr. Brenda McCready is our assistant director, and Ashley Vales is our legal counsel. The other people you see at the table are all board members here. This is our board informal committee today, chaired by Dr. Lenora Newsom. We are here today with your pharmacy technician application. On that application, which the board members are just now getting on their little data pads, you did let us know that something's going to come back, and that's what they're going to want to discuss with you in a moment. What we generally do is I'll turn it over to staff just to give a brief overview of the application. They get a chance to look at it, and then they'll have some questions, I'm sure, for you that we intend to be a discussion back and forth across the table. At the end of the discussion, they're going to come up with some suggested action. And most important thing is that you can either agree with it or disagree with it. If you agree with it, we go forth with whatever it is they've asked us to do. If you disagree, it's a chance for you to either say, kind of forget this and walk away from it, or to request a hearing before the full board at a later date. Full board is all 8 members, a hearing officer, a court reporter. We swear everybody in as witnesses, and it's just a more formal procedure like you'd see in a court of law or on TV for a court show. 2 questions I have for you. Do you understand why you're here today?
Yes, sir.
Do you have any questions about this process?
No, this is a first for me. So, yeah.
And recognizing that, if you do have a question during this, by all means, stop us, get our attention, ask any questions you've got.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Mr. Steele is here this morning. He is a pharmacy technician applicant. When we ran his criminal background check, he did disclose that we would find something on it. On or about 3/27 of 2017, Mr. Steele was charged with theft of property from Walmart. On 7/23/2015, he entered a plea of guilty. He was sentenced to 60 days jail with a suspended sentence, a payment of $310 in fines and court costs. He had to complete an anti-theft program and 6 months of supervised probation. He has met all of those requirements and is here this morning seeking a permit to practice as a technician. Madam Chair.
Hi, how are you this morning?
Good.
Good. Can you tell us about the incident back in March of 2015?
Yes.
Where you did
Oh,
a
yeah.
crime? Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was with my ex-wife now. We had 3 little girls that we were help raising. It was her brother's kids. We were getting groceries. I guess we probably had them 3-4 nights a week. They were going crazy. I was trying to calm them down. 2 were in the basket. The other one was standing outside of the basket. I go to the self-checkout. As we're checking out getting groceries, there were several items at the bottom of the basket. I go to the car, and the security guy came out to the car, said, "Sir, I need you to come back inside." And I said, "What for?" He said, "You missed items at the bottom of the basket." I apologized. I said, "I'll go back in and pay for them." He said, "No, sir, it's too late. Once you leave the store, it is automatic theft. We have 0 tolerance for it." Okay. So I came back inside, sat in the security office that they have there. I didn't want to cause any more issues. I know usually if you make a scene, it's going to make it worse. So I stayed quiet. I guess someone was outside of the room. I believe maybe the manager or some sort. And then the next thing I know, a police officer arrived and told me to stand up. put the cuffs on me and took me to jail. Now, I never actually made it to the actual jail cell. I was outside of the area where they book you. First time I've ever been in trouble in my entire life, so I didn't really know exactly the process. So I got bonded out. And then from the time that I went to the courtroom or actual court date, public defender came to me and said that the representative from Walmart wanted to ban me for life. I thought it was kind of ridiculous because it's the first and only time I've ever been in trouble in my life. I think I had a traffic ticket when I was 19. So that's the only thing I've ever had. And I said, that's crazy. I was like, what can we do to take the ban off the table? And because that's around here, Walmart is the cheapest place to buy groceries. I mean, there's Harvest and stuff, but it's more expensive. So so public defender went back to the representative and said, if you plead guilty, we'll take it off the table. I didn't have the means to fight it. I didn't have the means for a lawyer. I pled guilty, went to in front of the judge and pled guilty on that just to get it behind me. So I think it was 6 months probation. I can't remember the exact amount. I went to all the parole officer here or meetings. I did everything I was supposed to do. I did the 8-hour seminar class anti-theft. Did all that. I paid the fine straight up front. I did everything I was supposed to do. I've actually I actually did the necessary steps to get it sealed. I'm in the process of getting it expunged right now. My brother-in-law is a police officer in Sebastian County, and my aunt is also a retired Sebastian County officer as well, and they're helping me get that expunged. So that's the incident that will happen. And right now, it's like I said, 8 years ago. I'm just trying to get it behind me and move on.
Thank you.
Thank
Why do you want to be a pharmacy technician?
Oh, well, I started, when I was at American Car Center. I don't know if y'all probably heard about them. They filed bankruptcy and shut their whole company down. And so I got laid off, and then I had an opportunity to, I applied for Walgreens, a store manager trainee at Walgreens. They offered me the job in November. So I started November 16th this past year. And in order to be a store manager, you have to have a pharmacy technician license to help in the pharmacy from time to time. So that's what I'm applying for.
Anyone else have any questions of this gentleman?
I'll make a motion, we approve.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? The motion passes. Good luck in your new career.
Thank you. I appreciate it very much. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks for being very thorough and helped us understand.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Sure thing.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Good morning.
Okay. Tab 6. Ms. Henderson, how are you doing?
I'm good.
I'm John Kirtley. I'm the director of the board. I'm going to tell you who you're speaking with this morning. As far as this side of the table, we are board staff here in the office, the Board of Pharmacy, myself, Dr. McCready is our assistant director. Ms. Vales is our legal counsel. Everyone else at the front table are members of the board that are decision makers here today for your application. On the way that these usually go, We will turn it over to staff just to give a brief overview of why we are here regarding your application. Pulling it up because it's the same information the board members just have gotten, and you did let us know there'd be something on it. So thank you for letting us know that. And after the staff does just a brief introduction, the board members are just going to want to talk to you about your application. At the end of the discussion, they're going to come up with some suggested action. And the important thing for you is you could either agree with it or disagree with it. It's not something you have to necessarily do right now, sitting in that chair today. But if you agree with it, we go forth with whatever it is they suggest for us to do. If you disagree, it gives you a chance to do one of two things, either say, forget this and walk away from it, or to request a hearing before the full board at a later date. The full board, we call it a formal hearing because all 8 members, hearing officer, court reporter, we swear everybody in. It's just a more formal procedure than trying to have a discussion across the table today.
Absolutely.
So 2 questions for you. Do you understand why you're here today?
Yes.
What questions do you have about the process?
Yours.
Realizing you haven't sat in that chair before, if you do have a question during this, by all means, stop us and ask any questions that you've got so we can help answer them.
Okay.
Okay. Ready?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Ms. Henderson had filled out an application for a pharmacy technician permit. When we ran her criminal background, we did get some information that came back. She did tell us that we would. On 5/30 of 2017, Ms. Henderson was arrested for DWI, drugs, and possession of a controlled substance. On 6/28 of 2017, she pled guilty and was sentenced to 30 days suspended, fines, court costs, DWI school, and alcohol safety program. Possession of a controlled substance charge was null prost when Henderson pled guilty to the DWI. The DWI conviction remains on her record. And if you will look over at her statement, the possession of controlled substance comes from, and I think she can probably explain this better. Somebody had given her a Altoid mint container that had some THC in it. And so when she was pulled over and the officer found that, she was also cited for that. And I'll turn it over to you, Madam Chair.
Hi.
Hi.
You want to tell us in your own words what happened during that time period?
I was an travel ultrasound tech. I had been on assignment in Seattle, Washington. I had just came home for a break before my next assignment. On my way home, I was having severe leg cramps, so I took my medication that was prescribed to me. It made me sleepy, so my parents always taught me better to pull over in a well-lit area than drive sleepy. So I pulled over and someone called in for a wellness check on me. And when the officers woke me up, I told them exactly what had happened, which is the DUI part because I admitted to taking the medication. They found in my console, it was full of change. It was an Altoid can that one of my coworkers in Washington had given me just to put loose change in. And I was arrested for that too. I went through classes, suspended license, fees, and never lost my ultrasound license. And now I'm trying to move forward.
But why pharmacy?
I was looking at rotator cuff surgery from ultrasound, and my father's health isn't the greatest. So I decided to move back home, and I'm trying to find a job in my hometown. And I like helping people.
Want to have any questions of this candidate?
Just one quick one. In the Altoid can, was there any substances in there or just change?
It was just changed.
So it was just more residual.
Mhm.
THC.
There was nothing found on me besides that canister, and I was never tested for anything.
So what did you take that made you sleepy?
Clonazepam.
And had you taken it before this time?
Yes,
And it had a similar situation? It always knocked you out like that?
not that bad. Usually it will calm the leg cramps down and just calm me down, but usually does not, or didn't. I haven't taken the medication in over 4 years.
So you were on Klonopin for leg cramps?
Yes. Yes,
So the Altoid can it was labeled as an Altoid or was it labeled as Altoid containing THC?
it was labeled having it.
I was wondering how.
Oh, it's too, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't know.
It was from Washington. I was only up there 4 months.
So there weren't like drugs involved. They recognized. the label.
He recognized the label. There was no dogs, anything like that.
That changed, no.
No, correct.
Okay, any other discussion,
Question or question?
questions? You just turn it off. I like to entertain a motion now.
I'm not, I don't know, I've got an itch on this one. I think I need a little time, a little more time. Too close. Bill, somebody can make me feel better, I'll go with it, but
It was in 17.
May of 2017.
And that's, to me, the leg cramps are understandable. She's probably been flying for a while. I've been too still, not enough movement. Then you have a 4-hour drive. So personally, I have taken long drives and have leg cramps in the middle of the night. So I understand where she's coming from. And what my husband said, well, every 2 hours you should get out and walk. You know how you think, oh,
Yeah,
I
I'm
can make it.
almost there.
Yeah. And so I understand where she was and how this could happen because it's happened to me.
And I think it makes a difference. There wasn't something in the can, it was just labeled.
I make the motion.
Yeah, I want to ask her one question. So do you use marijuana? Have you ever used marijuana?
Many, many years ago as a teenager. Nothing now. I can take a drug test today.
When was the last time that you used any type of illegal drugs?
Over 5, 6 years ago at least,
What would that have been?
marijuana,
So
but it's been many years ago.
you said 5 or 6 years ago, this mint can was in your car 5 or 6 years ago. Did it initially have,
It was given to me that I did not purchase it.
did it initially have?
No.
Stuff in it?
It was empty.
You realize even in Arkansas, even though you might get a medical marijuana card, you can't do that.
Absolutely.
So had you used marijuana while you were in Seattle?
No,
You didn't use any from that Altoid can
No.
before it became empty?
no.
So in what situation, if it was 5 or 6 years ago, in what situation was it that you did use marijuana?
It was hanging out with some roommates that I lived with there. It was
So you said it was a.
It was contact, not necessarily me using. I was around it.
Yeah. So you said the last time you used, you were a teenager. That's what you said?
The last time actually smoking something was probably a teenager. I have been around it in the last 5, 6, 7 years.
I'm just
I
trying to
personally don't use it.
well, and I'm not trying to figure out what your birthday is or how old you are, but
I'm 41.
if you said it was 5 or 6 years ago and the last time you used was a teenager, but you said this was 5 or 6 years ago, I'm just trying to reconcile that.
I haven't personally used in years, probably since I was a teenager. I was around stuff when I lived in Washington because it was legal there.
So we have a motion on the floor. Everybody get a second?
Oh,
Okay,
well, is there anybody got anything?
So I'm just gonna throw this out
Yeah.
there. John just showed this to me, but in 2012, Washington Initiative 502 legalized the sale, purchase, and use of marijuana for people aged 21 years of age or over.
What year? 12.
2012. And it was on the November general ballot and did pass. So it's been legal there since 2012. So if she used it there, she used it legally.
I'll make a motion. I think we give you an option, a chance. I'll make a motion. We give the tech. This will be on the record and if anything.
Absolutely.
I'll second that.
have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck.
Who's next? Next be tab 4.
Ma'am.
My mother. And.
Yeah.
And every time she applies for a job.
Yes, ma'am.
And that's my pharmacy.
Yes, ma'am.
Where do you guys live? Batesville?
Good luck.
Absolutely.
Happy day.
We've been asked. When we're talking with people, if everybody has their mics on, they're pretty sure it'll pick up everyone and just turn it off if you're not trying to use the mic.
Put that in there.
Turn it on
Oh, you don't, what else?
while they're in here. Yeah, because that way they're saying it's picking up much better. Otherwise, y'all gotta keep reminding me to turn mine on.
Unless you're having a sidebar.
Well, let me check those back.
But I wonder if when you have a sidebar, does it still pick up on somebody else?
Good morning. How you doing?
Which mics is here?
Okay. Okay.
There you go.
Early on.
Let's see. All right, Ms. Washington, how are you doing?
Oh, well, how are you?
Doing good. I'm John Kirtley. I'm the director of the Board of Pharmacy, and I'm going to tell you who you're speaking with here at the table, as well as just a couple things about our procedure this morning.
Yes, sir.
On this side of the table, we are board staff members. Myself, Dr. McCrady is our assistant director. Ms. Vales is our legal counsel here in the office. On the other side of the table, these are 6 of our pharmacy board members for this informal committee, which is chaired by Dr. Lenore Newsom. This morning, we have an application for your pharmacy technician registration. And you did let us know that something would pop back on that. So thank you for giving a heads up on that. And that's what the board members want to discuss with you in just a moment.
Yes, sir.
We'll have our staff give an overview of your application, and then the board members will have some questions for you about that.
Sir.
Most important thing, at the end of the discussion, the board members will have some suggestion for what they want to do in your application, which you could either agree with or disagree with.
Yes, sir.
If you agree with it, we go forth with whatever they have suggested. And if you disagree, it gives you two options. One is to say, forget this and walk away. The other one is to say that you'd like to have an appeal to a full board hearing at a later date, which is a little bit of a more formal process with 8 board members, a hearing officer, a court reporter. Everybody gets sworn in. It just looks a little bit more like going to court than this does this morning. So the two questions for you. Do you understand why you're here this morning?
Yes, sir.
Do you have any questions about how this process works?
No, sir.
At any point, if you do have a question, stop us and ask any questions you've got about what's going on.
Yes, sir.
All right. Ruth?
Good morning. Good morning. Ms. Washington has applied for pharmacy technician permit. She did disclose on her application that she would have some information come back on her criminal background, and it did. In summary, on June 21st, 1990, Ms. Washington was arrested on 4 counts of felony forgery. It was alleged that she wrote checks on her grandmother's account. The charges were reduced to 1 count of uttering. We don't actually have an uttering law in the state of Arkansas, but it's akin to forging a check or that type. Ms. Washington was convicted and sentenced to 1-year probation, 6 months in jail, suspended, fines, and court costs of the lesser charge of uttering. Madam Chair.
Okay. You want to tell us what was going on at that time in your life?
Yes, ma'am. I was 9 months pregnant when I went to jail. My great grandmother was the only thing that I had in this world that cared about me. And at this particular time, she was old. And everybody, well, my great grandmother raised my mother and along with 6 other children of her daughter that died in childbirth. So she went to Milwaukee, Wisconsin and got all 6 of those kids plus my mother. And at this time, when she became ill, those children, I consider them siblings because they were my mother's first cousin, but they were raised as sisters. They were arguing about my grandmother's finances, and y'all, she raised me in a 2-bedroom shack. And at any given time, there's 15 children in that house, but she gave the best that she had to us all. They were arguing over who was going to be over her check. In the process, my grandmother had maggots in her kitchen. This was a clean woman, devout woman, loved God. She loved everybody. She helped everybody she could. And they were arguing about who was going to be over her check. And I would go over there to see her, me and my children. I had 4 kids in 4 years. So I sat there with my grandmother. She gave me everything. If I needed anything, she gave it to me. But she gave me her checkbook and she told me to go. And she needed some clean. She wanted her kitchen clean. She wanted her house clean. And that's what I did. I didn't know that what I was doing was a crime because it was my great grandmother. She was all I had. And my cousin filed charges against me, against my great grandmother's wish. Y'all, I don't know if y'all ever experienced it, but she was all I had. I grew up abused in every way. She was my only help and my only salvation. And when I lost her, I lost more than enough. And, you know, to have to go to jail, that was fine, you know, because I did what she asked me to do. That was what was going on in my life. And like I said, when I went to jail, I was 9 months pregnant. I delivered the next day.
Okay. So what brings you to the world of pharmacy?
I've been a pharmacy tech now for 10 years.
In another state?
Yes, ma'am. First I started out with Tennessee. I moved to Texas and I'm still currently licensed in the state of Texas as a pharmacy technician. But I'm a vet. I was honorably discharged from the military in year of 2002. And I'm a service-connected veteran. So I used my GI Bill to go back to school. I have my associate's degree in criminal justice. I'm currently working on my bachelor's in criminal justice. And the reason why I became a pharmacy technician, it was because of I was put on some medication for something that was not wrong with me. Well, I can be totally honest, I was diagnosed as bipolar when I got out the military because I had been sexually harassed. And for 8 years, I did not come out my house. I was just that depressed and down. And when I realized what had happened to me, I went to, ironically, when I decided I was gonna get up and do something I was tired of being in the house, because I was actually absolutely scared for my life. The things that I ran to the military for was the things that happened to me in the military. You know, I grew up sexually abused by preachers that lived next door to my great grandma. Like I said, she was all I had. And when I went to the military, I was harassed so bad that I did not want to live. But when I decided to get up 8 years later, I went back to school, used my GI Bill, I obtained my cosmetology license. And after I got through, when I became a cosmetologist, I worked a full-time job. I was the salon manager for over 2 years here and in Florida. I decided I wanted to obtain my degree. And once I moved to Florida to help, my sister she passed in December, but I moved there to help her for a year. And I worked in the salon there in Florida, so I was drawing Social Security, so it was an issue because I was making too much money, and they sent me to go before a clinical psychologist, and he asked me to say, kind of like, board asked me did I know why I was here, and I told him yeah, and before that meeting was over, the psychologist threw his pen up in the air. He said, Ms. Washington, please tell me who diagnosed you as bipolar. I told him, well, you're looking at my record. What I'm tired of is being poked and prived, and the hardest things in my life, I have to continue to talk to people about the pains that I suffer, you know, and to be judged. And he told me what had been done to me was a travesty. And for me to go home, he said what I suffered from was PTSD. Because I had suffered so many traumas in my life, and he did not understand for the life of me how I could have a smile on my face after what he was reading all the things that I had endured in my lifetime. And like I said, I wound up going back to school because I wanted to be gainfully employed, you know. In the cosmetology field, there's a lot of scrapping over $1 when there's enough dollars to just go around for everybody else. But I just didn't want to have to deal and battle with people over money. So I wanted to be in a field where I could be gainfully employed. I could have knowledge that I can pass on to my children and my grandchildren. I have 7 grandchildren.
Thank you. Anyone else have any questions?
Can you tell me what you actually do for CVS Health? I mean,
I work from home.
okay, and what do you do?
I do prior authorization and appeals. I work in the appeals department.
For the insurance side of CVS.
No, it's actually CVS Health.
Which is the insurance side, not a pharmacy itself.
Pharmacy systems.
Oh, we do. We approve the medication. Yeah, we don't do.
You approve the coverage for it to get reimbursed.
Yes, by the insurance, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I actually didn't know they did this because when I got this job, I did not want this job because it was not, I was used to being in the pharmacy, you know, working hard. I'm like, what is that? I didn't realize that pharmacy.
It's the part you always used to be waiting for someone else to do.
Right, that's exactly it.
Any other questions?
Well, so you're back in Arkansas and you need an Arkansas tech license?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. They asked to be licensed in the state which you live. I was actually gonna move back to Tennessee, but the rent was so high. I just decided I better go where it was more affordable for me because I live alone and I love living alone.
Where in Arkansas do you live?
West Memphis.
Okay.
There's no more discussion. I have a motion. I move we approve our application.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? The motion passes.
Thank you very much.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Rodney to find uttering for me.
Is it?
It's not going to accomplish. Forgery created falsified document. Passing on or using.
It is a strange name. Wondering
That's
about that
old law.
myself.
Yeah, it goes back to ancient English law.
Yeah.
The term rarely used anymore.
Goes back to what now?
Ancient English law,
Really?
rarely used.
Good morning.
Morning. And how do you pronounce your last name?
Obsignic.
Obsignic.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I will try not to mispronounce it too many times.
That's fine.
I'm John Kirtley. I'm the director of the Board of Pharmacy, and I'm going to tell you kind of who you're talking to today and just a couple things about our procedure this morning. On this side of the table, we are staff members here at the board. Myself, Dr. McCready is our assistant director, and Ms. Ashley Vales is our legal counsel. The other 6 people you see here are members of the Board of Pharmacy and decision makers here today. This is our informal committee that is chaired by Dr. Lenore Newsom. Here in a moment, I'll turn over to our staff to give a brief overview of why we are here, which is regarding your pharmacy technician application for registration. And you did let us know that there were a couple things that would pop back on it, which is what the board members want to discuss with you today. At the end of that discussion, they're going to come up with some suggestion for action. And the most important thing for you is you could either agree or disagree with whatever their suggestion is. If you agree with it, we go forth with whatever decision they have made. If you disagree with it, you have 2 choices. One is to say, forget this and walk away. The other one is to request an appeal to have a hearing before the full board at a later date. Full board is all 8 members, hearing officer, court reporter, swearing witnesses, and we exchange information and go through it much more like you'd see in a court of law. So I would ask you, do you understand why you're here today?
Yes, sir.
Do you have any questions about how this works?
No, sir.
At any point during this, if you have a question or there's something you don't understand, by all means, stop us, ask us any questions that you have so we can help make sure that you understand what's going on, because we realize you haven't been in that chair before.
No, sir.
All right. I'm gonna turn it over to Dr. McCready.
Good morning.
Morning.
Obsignic,
Yes, ma'am.
Amanda Obsignic, has applied for a pharmacy technician permit. She did disclose on her application that she would have some criminal history come back. And she did on October 6th, 2005. She was arrested and charged with battery in the 3rd degree. It was a misdemeanor. Physical altercation with her brother. The charges were null prost and she was not convicted. On 4/8/2011, she was arrested and charged with possession of drug paraphernalia, which was a misdemeanor, for a scale used to weigh marijuana that was in her vehicle at the time that she was pulled over by law enforcement. She pled guilty to the charge and was sentenced to fines, court costs, and 1 year of supervised probation. The conviction has not been expunged and it does remain on her record. Madam Chair.
Could I say something? Yes. The scale that was found, it was found in my apartment. It belonged to a guy that I was dating. And I don't know why they said it was found in my car, but it was found in my apartment.
So you had a department search?
They were actually looking for my ex-boyfriend, and in the process of them looking for him, they found the scale in the apartment, which did belong to him. It didn't belong to me.
Okay, so you're keeping better company now, right?
Yes,
You're not-
ma'am.
You're not hanging around with any people that will get into anything like that.
No, ma'am.
Because it reflects on your character.
Yes, ma'am. I realize that now. I was a lot younger then. My goal is to obtain my pharmacy tech license and to use it within the VA system. I have been working for the VA for 5 years now. So I just want to have the opportunity to move up in my career.
So in what capacity are you working at the VA at this time?
What do I do at the VA?
Yes.
Nursing assistant.
Anyone else? Yes, sir, go ahead.
I'm just curious, did they have a search warrant to search your apartment?
I don't think they had a search warrant at the time. I waited outside of my apartment until they did get a okay to search the apartment. So I believe that they did get one.
And were you represented by an attorney?
No, sir.
Were you given the opportunity to have an attorney represent?
I really don't recall. I was so young and I didn't realize the severity of the situation at the time.
Where was this?
This was in North Little Rock, Arkansas, in Lakewood Hills apartment complex. I was given a year probation and a $750 fine, which I completed that. I haven't had any criminal history since that time. So I'm sorry, I'm so nervous. I'm nervous.
That's understandable.
You're fine. You're fine.
Thank you.
Any other comments?
I have a motion to approve her application for a technician permit.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? The motion passes. We're getting your license
Oh,
today.
thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Good luck.
If you're in the VA system, just hang in there.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Caitlin Cranford.
I didn't see that.
Well, I told you, I think they don't show up.
I have that problem a lot.
Moving right
The
along.
word. at the
Yeah.
bottom.
I know, I know.
Everybody's coming.
All out there in one car. I'm gonna say this last.
Good morning.
How you doing, Ms. Cranford?
I'm good, and you guys?
Doing pretty well. It's early in the day, though. We'll see. I'm John Kirtley. I'm the director of the Board of Pharmacy, and I'm going to tell you who you're speaking with this morning and a couple things about our procedure.
Okay.
On this side of the table, we are staff members here at the Board of Pharmacy. Myself, Dr. Brenda McCready is our assistant director. Ms. Ashley Bales is our legal counsel.
Okay.
The rest of the people at the table are all board members today and are decision makers for your application. This informal committee is chaired by Dr. Lenore Newsom, and they are just getting the materials regarding your application for technician registration, where you did let us know something would pop up. So thank you for letting us know that.
Thank you.
In a moment, I'll turn it over to Dr. McCready to give us an overview of your application, and the board members will want to discuss it with you.
Okay.
At the end of that discussion, they're going to come up with some suggestion for what they would want to do with the application. And you can either agree or disagree with it. Not a decision you have to make right now sitting in that chair. But if it's something you agree with, then we go forth with their suggestion and just take it from there. If you disagree, it gives you the chance to either kind of say, forget this and walk away from it. Or you could say, I would like to appeal that decision and have a hearing before the full board at a later date.
Okay.
That is these 6 members plus 2 more, a hearing officer, a court reporter. We swear everybody in under oath, and it's just a more formal procedure like you would see on TV or in court.
Okay.
So 2 questions to you. Do you understand why you're here today?
Yes.
Do you have any questions about how this works?
Mm,
Not
would
right now.
love to know.
Okay.
Yes.
So as we go through this, if you've got any questions about what is going on, by all means, stop us and ask any questions that you've got.
Okay, okay.
Ms. Cranford had applied for a pharmacy technician permit. She did disclose on her application that she would have some criminal history come back. On June 29, 2017, Cranford was charged with furnishing liquor to a minor. She was employed at a Roadrunner convenience store. She sold cigarettes and beer to a minor. She was sentenced to pay fine and court costs. She failed to pay as ordered and a warrant was issued. Ms. Cranford then came compliant with the payment schedule and the warrant was recalled. However, records indicate that as of 1/19/2023, she still has an outstanding balance of $80 with the court. And in her statement, she did indicate that the manager did this all the time and that it was really his fault that this happened. Madam Chair.
Okay. How are you doing today?
I'm good, and you?
All right. You want to tell us in your own words what happened here?
I was working at a gas station, recently found that I was pregnant during that time. And so when I was working there, it was a manager that they wanted to move from one location to another. And, excuse me, in that process, the lady that they did assign us at the time had been kind of throwing those charges off, not on just the Little Rock location, but the Bryant location also. So they charged me with the fine and not the actual crime for it, because all of it started to unravel after mine. So it just went into where I just had to pay my fine for it.
Okay. And after how many years you still haven't completed the fine?
No, my fine's completed. I completed it this year. It took me a minute just because I did have 3 children during that process. And I also lost my mother recently during that time also. So this was just something I wanted to do as far as my career and getting everything back on track. So it took me a minute just because of those kind of health situations, along with helping my mother during the years. But that was one of my things that she wanted me to stay on top about also. And so.
Where do we get this note that this is not completed? Ashley. Because it says January 19th.
Completed it since then, I think during the application process. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
In January, she still owes money, I think now. Yes.
Good deal.
Looks like there's a payment slip in page 10 of our PDF.
Yes, that's correct.
Good deal.
So have you talked to anyone about a job in pharmacy?
I have, just mainly Walgreens, but I've done that during like when they used to do the work for the city. And I worked there, when I was underage, like 16, 17. And so that was something that I was gonna kind of see if I could go back to. If time was, right for me, I would go back to Walgreens.
Okay.
And do you see where just because the
Oh, yeah.
manager was letting this happen doesn't mean you needed to let it?
Right. No, man, I definitely understand. That's something that I would not allow anybody to throw on me, even if it's me having to do a double take on certain stuff and be confident where, for sure, okay, if I don't feel right the first time, let me get a higher, like a manager or supervisor to help me that second go round to make sure I don't have those errors, mistakes, nothing else to go along later on down the line in my life and my career.
Anyone else have anything? I'll make a motion that we allow.
My second.
A motion and a second. Other discussion? If not, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? The motion passes. You'll get your license today.
If you agree with that.
I do.
Good. We don't want to force you into anything.
I did it for my mom, so.
There you go.
You'll do well.
Yes, right. Have a good day.
That's funny.
Yeah, okay.
Let's get ready to rumble.
That's awesome.
Round 7.
You volunteering for that job?
I don't look good in a bikini, but I'll try.
Good morning. How you doing? Be out there.
I agree. How you doing, Ms. Wynn?
I'm fine. How are you?
Doing pretty good. I'm John Kirtley. I'm the director of the board. I'm going to tell you who you're talking to this morning and a little bit about our process. On this side of the table, we are staff members here at the Board of Pharmacy. Myself, Dr. Brenda McCready is our assistant director. Ms. Ashley Bales is our legal counsel. The other side of the table, these are all pharmacy board members that are decision makers here today on your application. This is our informal committee that's chaired by Dr. Lenore Newsom. We have just given the board members these little tablets this morning so they can see your application that you did let us know something would pop back on, which they'll talk to you about in just a moment. I will turn it over to Dr. McCready. She'll give a brief overview of your application, and then they want to discuss it with you, basically. At the end of that discussion, they're going to come up with some decision that you could either agree with or disagree with. If you agree with it, then we go forth with whatever they've suggested. And if you disagree with it, you have basically two choices. One is to say, forget this and walk away. And the other one would be to appeal that decision and ask for a hearing before the full board at a later date. The full board is all 8 members, not just these 6, as well as a hearing officer, a court reporter. We swear everybody in and we present evidence and testimony much more like you'd see in a court of law or on TV for a court show. With all that, I'll ask you, do you know why you're here today?
I do.
Do you have any questions about how this works?
I know.
I realize you've never been in that seat before. If you do have a question at some point going forth this morning, by all means, stop us and ask any questions that you've got.
Okay.
All right, here we go.
Good morning. Ms. Wynn applied for a pharmacy technician application or permit. She did disclose on her application that she would have a criminal history show up on the background report. She was arrested and charged with theft of property on March 14th of 2017 in Sherwood, Arkansas. She entered a plea of guilty and was fined $550 and court costs 1 year confinement, which was suspended upon no reoccurrences. She was barred from Walmart for 1 year. 3 months later, Wynn was arrested and charged with theft of property on June 6th, 2017 in North Little Rock, Arkansas. She entered a plea of guilty and was fined $300 in court costs and 1 year probation. She is now banned from Walmart. She successfully completed her probation.
Okay, what was going on?
Well, first off, I would like to say thanks for the opportunity for being able to come explain myself. But back in 2016, I think that's when I called the charge, about 2016, 17.
I'm sorry, but you're going to need to speak up.
I'm sorry. Back in 2016, I think in 17, I caught a theft of property charge out of Walmart. I got caught taking something without paying. At the time, I was hanging around the wrong people and I was making poor decisions, but that doesn't, justify, why I did that. All I can say is ever since then, I haven't been able to obtain a good job. Only warehouse jobs would hire me. So it's been hard trying to work in a job field that I actually would think I would enjoy. So I heard about the pharmacy tech application from a friend, and I did the application, and then I was told that I had to come stand before you guys and explain myself. So that's what I'm doing. But I feel like I have learned from my mistakes. I have suffered the consequences of not being able to get a job that I would actually enjoy working, a job that I can actually build a career in. Only warehouse jobs, but those are not the type of jobs that I want to work at.
Have you talked about anyone in pharmacy about a job?
I have. I was denied because of this. only one time. But because I don't have any pharmacy tech license, a lot of pharmacy, when I do apply, they want us to have licenses. So I don't get for as a phone interview.
So I have a quick question. You said you caught the charges in 2017. There were two charges 3 months apart,
Yes,
which
ma'am.
doesn't show you learning from the first experience that you were stealing from a company, that you would turn around and steal 3 months later from the same company. It doesn't appear that you actually learned anything from that process.
Well, then I was younger. I didn't have as much going for myself as I do now. I was only caring for one child at the time, so I was making very, very poor decisions. Fast forward to today, I have 2 kids, 8 years, 11 months, that I am the sole provider of. If I was to make a mistake like this again and get taken away from my kids, I don't have nobody that will look out for my kids, so I wouldn't jeopardize my freedom or a job over something so petty again. That's how I look at it. It's been so hard. It's been hard to the point where I apply for jobs. I want to be in the medical field, and it's just having these charges on my name is just being hard to get a good job. So the last 3 years, 2.5 years, I have been self-employed as a hairdresser. But I want to do other things, and this is stopping me. I have obtained a phlebotomy license. Because of this, I was not able to renew my CNA license. So I've really lost a lot by having these charges, but I have also learned from these charges. Even though I did do it a second time, I definitely learned. I would never jeopardize my freedom or putting anything else on my name when I have two daughters that I have to care for. I don't have nobody else that'll look out for them if I was to get taken away or, get in trouble with the law again. So I definitely learned from it.
And did they take your CNA license?
They didn't take them, but when it was time to renew them, it had got flagged, so I wasn't able to renew them. So because of that, I lost my CNA license.
So in the application, it asks, have you ever had any certificate, license, registration, or other privilege to practice a health care profession denied, revoked, suspended, restricted, censured, or placed on probation? And you answered no.
I probably just misread the question, but at the time I did have my CNA license, and then I tried to go to a facility and work, and it was time to renew them, and they told me they couldn't renew them because they were flagged.
What did you take?
It was like the power cord, extension cord. I didn't have power in my house. So it was a CD, like very petty stuff that I wouldn't, it was petty. I wouldn't do it again. Like I honestly wouldn't put myself in that position again. It's been so hard moving forward since then. So.
Do you recall what the other time, do you recall what you took?
Like a bedspread.
Recall the dollar amount?
Now that I don't.
Other questions?
I'll make a motion. But I move that we give her license or for pharmacy tech permit. Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Any nays? Motion passes. One nay.
Earlier.
Good luck.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Good luck.
John Cougar Mellencamp was in Memphis last night. I'd heard him in a while.
And the sign last week.
He said it was good.
I know exactly where that is. Yeah.
Every week.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it's the
Mhm.
I've been there once.
break in your too.
Yeah, can we take just a 5-minute break?
No, I wanted her to be thankful.
Okay,
I wanted her
I
to
get what you, yeah.
I get Dan, Harold, Robbie, Mike.
doobie doobie doo. Roger, Roger.
Same way, one of them. Money. First, very well. A high office. That's right.
That, and the high choir, which she's
Taco place.
there's a all. Yeah, in that patio. You guys ready to go back?
Yeah.
All right, sounds like we're on. Ms. Birchfield, if you'll press where it says push, if you just press that button and release, it should turn green. There you go, first time.
Sorry.
That's usually the biggest struggle sitting at that table is getting the microphone to work. So this morning we have with us, this is Ms. Birchfield, which I think you guys might recall you had visited with earlier. So she's here to kind of discuss what her next steps might be. I went ahead and pulled yesterday after the meeting, round one, also, if you guys wanted to look at it. So I've got all three of those results there.
How are you doing today?
I could be better.
Okay, okay. It's a tough seat to be sitting in at this time. So, do you recognize where your shortcomings were on the exam?
No, I don't. Like this last time, I felt like I was rushing through the questions thinking I felt pretty confident with, but I don't know, there's some that I apparently still miss.
And did you ever get a study partner?
Just the group that we studied with last time.
The students that were preparing for this last round, I know had gotten together and we did a brief review with them, which was unfortunately the afternoon of the tornadoes coming through. So I know that we all had other things going on at that time.
And what did you cover? Let me ask you this question. Have you read the whole law book?
I've read the whole law book twice. I made Quizlets of my own this previous time. Went over some more Cahoots that were available.
Are you focused on the rules and regulations or you also reading the statute?
Both.
I think that you could probably reasonably focus in on the rules and regulations. That might give you a little more focus. Statutes are pretty well fleshed out, the rules and regulations. So I think if you focus on the rules and regulations, kind of like we're talking about everything.
Did you re-listen once again to Dr. Kirtley's presentation? I watched through the review probably 3 more times, but I realized this last exam, like I missed a question that was specifically said during the review. Somehow I missed it.
Have a printout, have a copy of the regulations, to kind of highlight the things that he said, these are things to pick up.
No, I don't have the printout.
That might be a good thing to do too.
We can fix that.
Yeah, I think once you get going, you kind of realize what part is legally. Those things that. So you could skip over the first few pages. Regulations next to you, and they're really 2 on pharmacy, 3 on technician, 4 on pharmacy, 7 on prescriptions, 9 on dispensing. Those are the big ones. Others just have maybe. So it's kind of about 5 of the regulations. Regulation 4, regulation 7 is part of the budget. Regulation 9 has been. That might help you focus, you know.
I want to take you down to the nitty gritty here. Let's say you're studying the law book or the rules. What I wish you would do is explain to me exactly the total process you use in studying either of those things.
I've been reading them word for word, make sure I understand like the definitions and trying to apply myself in those scenarios, but it's been kind of difficult for certain scenarios because like I don't really know how they process.
Do you take notes?
Yes.
Explain.
Just summarize notes in my own words to make it more understandable. like I'll narrow down the regulations to keywords.
When you take notes, do you do it in handwriting or on the computer?
In writing.
When you're trying to apply scenarios, do you find is it more difficult for you to apply in maybe areas that you may not have worked in versus the area that I believe you work in retail, is that right?
That's correct.
So do you find you're less confident maybe with hospital,
Right.
nursing home,
So
settings that you're not as familiar with?
Yes.
And do you have any difficulty translating, like just taking a fact that you may just rotely memorize, but do you have difficulty then translating that into how it gets applied? Because I know some of the questions that we ask are more of an applied nature.
That's correct.
Okay.
Which are you working?
I'm usually only working Saturdays, half the day, but sometimes I'll be able to work Fridays.
Are you getting enough sleep?
No,
That plays a big part. How much sleep are you getting every night?
for about 6 hours.
So you may want to lengthen it out, but just get to bed a little earlier so that you're waking up refreshed. It's easier to recall things when you're rested. If you're going long term and not getting enough sleep, that will affect you. And like even work wise, they'll get in the habit of shorting yourself on sleep.
And then you don't have to tell me your grades, but how are you doing in pharmacy school in general?
I usually do well, but this last semester I was struggling. I was struggling with some anxiety and depression that I went and sought out therapy.
Have that.
Actually,
Except we're giving her a stressful test.
yeah,
We're not helping with that.
right.
Some days it's handled, some days it's not. I am taking medication.
Go back to the doctor and discuss it and let them know.
Are you able to get outside to go for walks, maybe 30-minute walks?
I've been doing that more.
Yeah, that will help to reset everything for you.
Could you explain the process you go through in evaluating an answer to a multiple choice question?
For the K-type questions?
Yeah.
I'll read through each one individually, and if I know it's true, I'll put down a check next to it. The ones I'm not sure of, I'll put a question mark by or skip and come back to those.
Okay, let's say you have one that you're not sure of. What do you do when you go back to it?
I'll read it more thoroughly and try to comprehend what it's trying to say exactly.
Let me make a suggestion. When you take a multiple choice test and you're not sure, you go through and you eliminate the answers that you're confident are not right. Then if you have to make a choice, you choose between the ones that are plausibly right and consider why would this one be more plausible than the other.
Do you think that you could articulate the concepts that are being tested, or do you just have difficulty with the questions as they're written? But given the opportunity, could you explain it verbally?
I feel like the questions this time around were definitely a little more clear, and I don't know if it was my stress that was making me still overthink. But I feel like for certain questions, I would feel more confident for actually writing them out instead of picking choices. If I was given a question verbally, I could possibly answer it, at least half of it, if not the majority of it.
Given the opportunity to take the exam again, what would you do differently? How would you prepare differently?
I would definitely need to seek out some extra support from those who have more experience in these areas. Ask questions about certain regulations that I may look through, read through and think I comprehend it, but since I can't apply them to any scenario, I might have to get some help asking about those.
And obviously, you're not wanting to take this test over and over, but when you're sitting there in a stressful situation under stress, what would you want to do? Do you want to take it again? I mean, what is the ask? Would you like to take it again? Not that you'd like to, that's a bad word, but is that your goal, to go get some help and take it again? Is that what you'd want to do?
Yes, I want to be able to pass this. I don't like feeling like I'm a failure.
And you're not.
Not a failure.
It's one test, but it's an important test, but it's one test. And adding that extra stress to yourself is not good either. The results of taking it again, and
Have you met with your law professor to kind of go over things or think that maybe you don't understand, or do you not understand what you don't understand? Is that?
That's part of the problem. Like, I'll remember the questions immediately after I leave, but by the time I get to where I can write them down, I don't remember most of the questions. But the ones that I had skipped to go back to, you know, the ones I wasn't sure of, don't know what those were.
is I don't know anything about your law professor, Kim. Would they allow some kind of, like after class time where they could go through some things with you to help you understand better? Would that be a possibility?
Yes, I feel like it's more of a possibility now when I actually have time to do so. There was a lot going on last semester that I didn't really have time to schedule much.
So your term's already over now.
Yep.
UAMS changed their fall P3 semester a little bit to where they're already done, so they can start rotations next week.
Do you start rotations or do you start rotations next week?
I would have started rotations next week, but since I'm having to retake this, it's been pushed back.
But you have an option, push it back, you still have some time. Cause I think the worst thing you could do, say, I'll take it tomorrow. I mean, I think
Yeah.
you
study.
really want to put in focused effort, because you don't want to go through this again, and we don't want you to go through this.
Yeah, I did speak to another professor about, I was considering in a week, because that gives me some time to stay, and he suggested that I ask for 2 weeks so I can put more focus, put more time into focusing and studying for these, and to talk to whoever I need to.
So they can move the whole rotation down, so you still have the option of finishing your rotation.
Yeah, so the rotations work in that there's only 10 months we have to do rotations. We have 2 off months, one of your choosing, one in December. Mine was September, December, but since I'm having to take this exam again, we've made May my off month.
Where are you working?
Sorry?
Where have you been working?
I work at Baker Drug in Conway. It's a community pharmacy,
Just on Saturdays, you said?
mostly Saturdays.
Do you have a test, like not a test bank, that's the wrong word. Do you have a question bank that you're using when you study?
No.
Ronnie, is that something that you've got available? What do you?
Did you receive the links for the Kahoot quizzes that did you?
I was using those.
Okay, so there are 2, one was state plus controlled substance, and then there was a third one, the 75 question drugs and what schedule they're in. Did you see that one as well?
And you used both of those?
Yes. I mean, the difference this time to me is you're actually gonna have a length of time to just devote to this. Whereas before, and at the end of the semester, I'm sure you're devoting all other finals and everything. This could be good for you. I do think work experience is great, but right now, unfortunately, you probably need the time to study and not working a bunch, because you may not. Even though that's helpful long-term to work, because if you work, you actually understand this stuff better. But you're kind of at a crossroads if you actually need to study and get it done.
I know other board members have offered, I wouldn't be any better, just different, just maybe a different approach. I'd be happy to sit down with you. And literally go regulation by regulation, give you some example, quizzes or even one of my exams, just as a sample. I'd be happy to spend some time with you if you need that, or if you'd like to. It's up to you.
That would definitely help.
Do you have any questions of us?
I know what I need to do is to sit down and speak with, the people necessary that can provide me with different scenarios and help me go through and focus through the different regulations. I don't really know what else I can do at that point. It's the only thing that I hadn't actually made time for.
I would say Dr. Richmond would be
The man.
the person to go to.
Well, or.
You study
Dr.
alone or
O'Brien.
with somebody when you studied for these tests?
I study at home. I had a couple days this semester where I studied with the group before.
Was that helpful, studying with the group? I mean, can you get something done or you just talk?
Half and half.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's okay. I'm just so you get something done.
If it was my group, we'd just be griping about the Board of Pharmacy. Isn't that right, Ron?
There's always a teacher or two, Well, I think, don't get down about it. I mean, diligence is what you need here. You need to come, you need to study every day. It needs to be your number one priority. Somebody asks, what are you doing? You say, I'm studying for a law test. Forget about saying, I'm going to pharmacy school, because all that'll take care of itself if you pass the law test. So
I tell my students day one that welcome to pharmacy law. This will fulfill your foreign language requirement. And it really is. It's totally different way of thinking than what
pharmacy.
you're being trained clinically. So, I mean, there are just some people just run into a buzzsaw. So, don't get down about it. You have a full board of people, a full table of people here that are rooting for you. And we all know, I mean, you wouldn't be at this point in your pharmacy education if you weren't capable of learning.
That's
So
right.
you've just hit something that you just need to find a way to get around it.
What do you think, Director?
It appears to me you're approving her to take another test, which I have a plan for. And we're not telling her she has to get it done within 5 days or 10 days or 2 weeks. And so Karen, part of this is I don't want to put you in a situation knowing that you've got a little cushion of time to where you have the extra pressure of, oh my gosh, I've got 7 days to do this. Like, we're going to give you flexibility to help figure out the best time for you to take it so that you've got the time to talk to people you want to talk to as well. So we'll be flexible on that.
And John, you'd be gone the first week of May, not the first week.
Yeah,
second
the
week.
9th through
Is that
12th.
any time? You might say that.
I mean, the 9th through 12th, a couple of us will be gone, but there would be other
Okay.
people in the office.
Okay.
Like, we can work around her schedule. And I'll have my tablet with me too, so my laptop. if I
I
need it.
wouldn't wait till the last minute, but I would really give myself some time and not try to
No.
rush through it.
Like today, start, and then every day after that.
Well, or take a couple of days to, go for that walk or do something that helps you relax. Because while this is important, the overall life is more important. Kind of like, we tell each other, something comes up with family that's more important than work. Be sure that you're okay before you make sure that this is okay.
We want you to pass it.
I do too.
Step away, take a breath, take a couple days and then dive in.
Anything
Next
else?
week is finals week on our campus. I could meet with you several days.
Hmm.
So we could pick one and literally spend almost a full day.
Despite what people think, White County is not at the other end of the earth. Ronnie's in Searcy. I'm in BB. Not that far.
You come on up to Cersei and then what you don't pick up from me, you can stop in BB and pick up from him.
I think we kind of have a plan.
Good luck.
Be somebody you haven't worked with, therefore it is different that will help. You have your law professor as well, so we're not discounting him or her, but this would be just a total different avenue for you than something you've done.
Are your tests broken down by sections of the,
His whole class is.
is that how you
My
test?
class is broken down into 3 blocks, federal law and then controlled substance law, which is state and federal reconciled to Arkansas, and then state law. So I give 3 exams. The last exam is specifically on state law, but also incorporates controlled substance law as well.
And did you find that, I think there's maybe cheat sheet's not the right word, but I use it all the time. It breaks down like what an APRN can.
No, we've got the scope of prescriptive authority on our website also. Were you able to find that?
Yeah, I found that. I didn't find the chart of all the controlled drugs. I was using one from school.
Yeah, so the controlled substance list is actually maintained by the Arkansas Department of Health, and it gets weird in that there are a whole lot of chemicals in there that are not drugs that you would ever see. So in the middle of, seeing marijuana or cocaine or methylphenidate or different formulations of codeine, then you've got two piperidine acetate, and it's stuff that is crazy looking at, but is not necessarily important for this test.
Yeah, just focus on the common name, the brand and generic. Also, one thing that sometimes trips up is if you have a drug like cocaine that has illicit use as well as medical use, it's a Schedule 2, not a Schedule 1, even though in your mind you may think, oh, methamphetamine, same thing. Digoxin is a brand name methamphetamine, so it's Schedule 2. So there's just those little things that'll trip you up like that.
I could definitely do that time.
Codeine's weird because it's standalone or in combination.
Right.
Is it in like oral liquid form or tablet?
This is hard and it's embarrassing, but it's not going to be the worst thing that happens in your life, and you are going to get through it. But I think I'd have dropped the thing of worrying about what all the other students think and what your college thinks, what your board thinks. Try to just know that it's something you're going through. This is in life, a lot of things that.
Any other comments from anyone? Okay.
Thank you.
You got some resources, reach out. and we'll get a plan together. You can do this. Thanks, Kara. We have two more that were scheduled for 11:30 and 11:45. Try to let both of them know if they're here early, we'll get to them, but until they get here, we got a break.
Okay.
Yeah.
There we go. Oh, all right.
So next one back up.
Okay, guys, we are back. We do have a brief email under tab 10, but this is more of a discussion topic for us. You want to introduce yourself and I'll give a quick overview to the board members. Oh, and I'm sorry, Belinda, if you'll hit push and release it, it'll turn green and that means go. There you go.
I'm Belinda Baker. I'm the pharmacist in charge at Damascus Drug. And I'm here to plead with y'all to have some leeway on my 40 hours a week so I can get my own health care taken care of. It's been really hard trying to find someone to come in and give me any relief. And I mean, it doesn't have to be every day. I want to be able to post a month and a half because it takes about that long to see a doctor or anything like that. If possible, to have like a Thursday. I picked Thursday because it's kind of a slow day. So I can be open from like 9 to 1 and just have that afternoon to get to my appointments and then come back. And
So while she and I haven't discussed it, we don't see a whole lot of pharmacies that are eligible for reduced hours. This pharmacy is in Damascus, Arkansas. Just some backup history. There was actually a Walmart small scale grocery store there years ago when Walmart kind of went into some of these small towns. And when that wasn't viable for Walmart and they left, another independent grocery store went into that location. If you've been through the speed trap of Damascus, you've seen there's a Dollar General, there's a grocery store and a gas station and a couple little restaurants. But it's about 10 miles. It's right at, I think it's like 9.7 miles back to Greenbrier. And then your next stop is Clinton, basically. And so we have this, large area. What we generally look at is 10 miles from another, competing pharmacy. If there's no other pharmacy in the area that a pharmacy could get reduced hours. Generally, what we look at, I think from the staff side is, in that instance, Belinda's not even asking necessarily for, less than 40 hours all the time, but what the board often looks at in that situation is what's a comfortable number? Is it 28 hours a week? Is it 30 hours a week? That if she needs to adjust her business or if she even sells the business, someone else does it, that is the acceptable new floor for them to let us know, hey, here are the hours we're going to be open. We've had other requests for reduced hours, even in Little Rock, and the board has said, if it's an area where there is a competitive market and there are multiple pharmacies, you have to be open 40 hours a week. But if you're in an area that, you're miles from any other competition and it would create a pharmacy desert, if that store closed, then we'd have allowed reduced hours.
It sounds like she might be asking for 4 hours, maybe not every week, but 4 hours at the most.
Well,
I could say 36.
I'd go, well, I'm going to try to help Belinda with this. She's being generous in saying if she can get a specific appointment in an afternoon and go work a half day, but generally if you're going below 40 hours a week, I would suggest something more along the lines of 28 or 32 to give her the flexibility that if she has a morning appointment, because I mean, for me, sometimes I have to go do blood work in the morning and then you have to have an appointment after that, or if they have a follow-up and you don't know how long you're going to be there. We've had some people that had very specific needs. We had someone that was also a pastor that needed off Wednesdays because they were working with their church on Wednesday, or a lot of places that, there are no prescribers around, nobody's doing anything in the town Friday afternoon. So it's a couple of days a week that they have abbreviated hours. And as long as they let the community know, that's worked pretty well. I know Lynn has some experience with that with Portland.
Yeah, I was going to ask, do you have any prescribers that are open when you're wanting, are you talking about like a Friday afternoon or something like that is when you're wanting to get out?
well, actually on a Thursday, because my dentist didn't open on Friday. A lot of doctors aren't open on Friday. So it would probably be a Thursday afternoon is what Wednesday, Thursday, but Thursday is kind of my slow days. So that's why I kind of chosen that. And I would be there of a morning to get my order and then be able to leave if, and that's if I can get someone to come in occasionally, then that wouldn't even happen. But I had a root canal that I needed done and I was running around taking antibiotics for over 6 months because I couldn't get to the dentist. You know, with and being in pain, and that's not good.
And
Distraction on the job.
how many is this store filling now on average? Like 50?
We're at 65.
Oh.
Somewhere, but 62, 65 now, and it's grown a lot in the last 2 years. And the population there is elderly,
Yeah.
and they're really not wanting to travel. And actually, I know y'all know American Drug there in Greenbrier. A lot of them have been very faithful to Raymond, and they're starting to come to me because they live right there and they don't have to do that travel.
Well, and I know, from personal experience being involved with Boy Scouts, you've got summer camp there and other day camp programs that you've got people there for a week at a time. And while it may not seem like it, when I go to camp, there are a lot of troops that come from other states that, they're completely detached. So if there are needs right there,
They do come a lot.
having a pharmacy there, a lot of them end up visiting that pharmacy and that grocery store. And knowing the grocery store owner, because I've talked with him several times over the years, there's a very symbiotic relationship that if there's not a pharmacy, the grocery store might not make it. And if there's not a grocery store, the pharmacy is probably not going to make it because it's just not a big enough town, but they work together really, really well. And I think, I think that the scout camp even gets a lot of their food stuff from that grocery store specifically to help support it and help try to keep it open.
You need a motion?
It's been open 9 to 5, Monday through Fridays. When she and I talked, we talked about, 9 to 5, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, till noon on Thursday and off that afternoon, and then open on Friday or vice versa.
That used
I
to
don't
be
know if
indoors.
I don't know if that's what
Yeah.
she's kind of looking at, but that's a little bit of what we talked about when she and I talked on the phone. Was just that one afternoon that she could.
But the main request that we generally see with this for a qualifying pharmacy is it okay to have reduced hours? If you tell us what the floor is, then we can work with her on the specifics as they change rather than, oh my gosh, I need to do Wednesday instead of Thursday. Like she should not have to come back in for managing those types of issues.
And I'm getting of age. I just turned 61, so I do have some needs myself, and it doesn't need, I've been gastroenterology has been blowing my, phone up trying to get into it, but I can't commit to anything like that until I have some kind of option.
Can I make a motion?
So do you, can I ask?
Yes, sir. I'm
So
sorry.
do you feel like a floor, is that?
Yeah, that's what I would say.
You feel like a floor of 32 hours would give you the flexibility to do what you need to do?
Yes, sir.
Personally?
You good?
Yeah,
Well, I was gonna make a motion for 28, but I'll do a motion for 32.
I mean, I'm,
Okay, I'll make a motion that her floor is 32 hours a week. And then if that's not adequate, let us know, but
Okay.
it's a good start.
Yes, very good start. Thank you.
Okay, we've got a second? A motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Motion passes.
So Belinda,
Done.
what we do is we'll put basically a note in your file that you can go down to as low as 32 hours a week. And if you'll just kind of keep us posted, like if you want it to be a regular day that you're going to be closed or change your hours, just give us an update of what you anticipate your regular hours to be.
I don't see it being a problem unless some unforeseen thing, and then, somebody's gonna have to step up.
Well, and at the same time, you might just go ahead and list Thursdays you close at noon or 1. And if you decide to work extra hours that day, no one can complain that it's not as posted. You're actually there extra. Versus if you have it posted till 5 and go, oh, except this Thursday, such happens, someone will gripe about it. I mean, it never
Always.
ends. So it
Yes,
helps get your patients in the mode to know, oh yeah, Thursday, she's usually closed in the afternoons because
Okay.
that'll be your advertised.
Yeah, I'd hang your sign well early and you're still gonna have people that didn't know.
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And you can close that, any time, and there's always gonna be that person that shows
Oh,
up
yeah.
when you're rolling down
Yeah.
the window,
Yeah.
trying to go home.
And Belinda, the board appreciates you being proactive in this and coming to the board rather
Absolutely.
than just sending us notes saying, hey, I don't have any staff today, I'm not gonna be open.
Yeah.
We appreciate you coming to the board.
And that's why I wanted to do it, to let y'all know where I'm at and that I am actively in this business and I wanted to make it for the community. I fell in love with that little community up there, and that's why I worked by myself for months and months without a tech or anything, struggling through to get the, and I thank y'all for having me today.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks for coming in, Belinda.
Thanks,
Thanks.
Belinda.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
We got one more out there. What? No, Leland. It's nice.
What if we have one of our. Dr. Norris, that's.
Well, yeah, if we can go ahead and grab Leland because I asked him if he could come early. So he's got people trying to get back to work. All right, if you press the push button, it'll light up and green means go. It's that easy. So,
It's really not easy. You have to push it pretty hard.
yeah, there you go. You said it was easy and then you saw the biggest challenge you have in that chair. Hey, if you want to tell us who all you've got with you today, and then I'll kick it off for the board members to have our discussion.
Okay, I'm Leland Stice, Doctor's Orders Pharmacy. I have Brittany Hankins, she's our operations director, and Jess Hunter, she's one of our pharmacists.
So we've got, Leland had actually sent in a request to be considered for approval to do central fill. And he can tell exactly what they're trying to do in there, but I think part of it is doing rapid pack for multi-dose bubble packs to be able to have that technology in one location, but be able to offer it through your other pharmacies through central fill.
Yeah, so, and that's it in a nutshell right there, John. What we're wanting to do is be able to make the rapid pack adherence packaging available to all 4 of our pharmacy locations. It's been very successful at the Doctor's Orders location in Pine Bluff. We've got a little over 300 patients enrolled in that packaging system now. The efficiency that it drives inside a pharmacy is amazing. We put Jess and Brittany and a couple of other technicians on this a few months ago, and we were sitting at about 100 people that were enrolled. We moved it up to 300 from September through December. Our phone calls in the pharmacy in September were 7,200 phone calls a month. The last 2 months, our phone calls are down to 5,500. Phone call. It's been a huge improvement. So that means the patients are only having to call in once or twice a month. We're syncing their meds, we're packaging them, they're staying on track. We call them about 7 days in advance. It's MedSync, but packaged. So you guys know what that is. We call them in advance, get them set up, make sure that any refills or issues with the doctor are taken care of, medication changes are taken care of, and then we package it and we call them. We try to deliver it if we can possibly deliver it to make sure it gets there. Our patients that are that can't afford all their copays all at one time, we're trying to set them up on an account and let them pay out a couple of times a month. Hopefully they'll be compliant with that and we can keep doing that for them because it really has made a difference in how compliant patients are. It's made a heck of a difference in how compliant I am on my medications. I started doing it several years ago and just so easy to see, you know, that you forgot to take your dose and you know, you can go back in the bathroom and I look at my pack and I'm like, yeah, no, I hadn't had the morning dose yet. So go ahead and take it. So these guys put the program together, kind of gave it to you in a nutshell, but it's, and I think y'all have got the policies and procedures that we put together. But that's what we're wanting to do. And if y'all got some questions or if y'all have anything else to add.
Any board members have any questions?
So you'll central fill from your Pine Bluff location?
Yes, we're gonna do it from the Pine. We thought about doing it at the new location out at Harding, but we own we own the building. Yeah, we've got a 14,000 square foot building there and we can move and expand better at the Pine Bluff location.
We've seen similar approaches elsewhere the board has reviewed. I mean, the thing that makes it an easier application, I think, in consideration for us when it's all one corporation or company or group of pharmacies versus early on in Central Philly, it was always a third party company was going to try to get it. And we had to have a lot of discussions on, well, who owns the script? Who's billing for it? Where is it going? How is it transferred and everything else? When it's all under one roof or one corporation, it's a much easier approach. I think that's why it's been more successful that way going forward.
How you like that rapid pack?
I mean, we've had the machine probably 4 years now. We've had some issues with some of the cassettes, and they're more expensive than like a Parata cassette. They're like $500 per cassette to have one replaced. But for the most part, the machine's been pretty reliable. You know, it's very seldom that it's down and the service is pretty quick for them to get here. We have more trouble out of the Parata machine than we do.
I was gonna say, you probably have more trouble out of that Parata than you do that rapid pack.
If you don't baby that Parata and keep it clean, well maintained,
You got to compliment it every morning when you come in.
yeah. The light turns red and everybody's like, oh, the Parata's angry.
Yeah. Well, you don't realize that, you know, you think all those pills are uniform and the same size until you get a Parata, you know, and then
That's right.
but yeah, well, I like the rapid pack. I think it's a good one. I think it's hard to do anything wrong with a rapid pack.
Yeah, we're probably gonna have to expand it. I don't know, pricing on this stuff is ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know, to add another row of cabinets in there is.
Everything's gone up on.
Yeah.
So can a patient get their first fill on it as fast as they're needing it? I mean, I understand that you call them 7 days ahead and get it worked out, but what about when they first get on it?
So a first fill we short fill until they're until they're synced up to get that synced, and then it would come in their next pack.
Any other
I don't have
questions?
any problems.
I mean, I'm ready to make a motion. If
Okay.
Yeah.
no other questions, I'll make a motion. We approve the request for central fill. Doctor's orders.
Second. Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Got it.
So
All right, thank you.
We'll get a letter together and send it to you that Central Phil is approved as presented.
All right, appreciate
It's
it.
easy. I'm probably supposed to ask if you drove a red car today, but
I did not. No. The weather hasn't been great for that.
No, not at all.
I think we're supposed to get another 2 inches.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, have a good day.
All right,
Thank
see
you.
okay. So that what we didn't have no one show up. All right.
I have two technical applications, pharmacy tech applicants that did not appear. And they were both served and told to be here at 9 o'clock. So I would just ask permission to deny the applications on Haley Smith and Cynthia Salazar.
Make a motion. Oh, second.
We do either way. Okay. We have a motion and a second on the floor. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? The motion passes.
You got anything?
Got anything else, y'all?
So only other thing I'd say is, I know several of us will be in Nashville here in a couple of weeks to see Lenora Newsom installed as the NABP president. I'm excited about that.
No living with her.
Compared to now, you're saying.
Yeah.
There you go. What that's crossing about that. But I think that's another, huge issue and great brag point for Arkansas and our state board of pharmacy. So proud to be there and see there.
Congratulations.
Yeah. That's all I've got. Unless somebody else has anything. I don't know, sitting in here.
Lunch is on the twenty.
Say that's all you got. If you got barbecue.
That's all I got. Then you gotta talk to Nancy about that.
What is what?
That's a Nancy.
I think it's tacos.
Motion to-
Meeting adjourned.
Got it?
Second.
Okay, motion is second. All in favor?